Jane Morgan. She's the executive director of the COVID task force at Piedmont Healthcare in Atlanta. Dr. Morgan, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Veronica. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So nerves are on edge this morning. What is your advice to Americans who are nervous about the dangers of this new variant?
So certainly here in America, we should not panic, and really globally, we should not panic. We know how to mitigate these viruses. We don't want to oversell it, but we also don't want to undersell it. We need to understand that in increasing development of mutations will continue to occur. This is the mechanism of action of viruses, and this is what we have been concerned about. And so when we talk about moving this pandemic to an endemic state, inherent in that statement is that the virus will continue to change and mutate and continue to present a threat to human life. So we want to be cautious. We know how to follow public health measures, and we certainly need to take advantage of access to vaccines and boosters immediately if you have not done so.
Well, explain how we got here. How does the virus mutate? What can be done to prevent these mutations?
So behavior has driven this entire pandemic. If we can remember, almost 2 years ago, we simply were going to shelter in place and allow this virus to pass and then come back out. And we were going to do that for a period of 60 to 90 days. But as a society, we were unable to do that. So that allows the virus to continue to find hosts, meaning human beings. And when it invades our bodies, it replicates, makes copies of itself, and then errors in those replications processes are the mutations. And the mutations are what began to create new versions of the virus when multiple mutations come together and cluster and then create these new versions of viruses that we have seen, certainly the alpha, the beta, the delta, and now the Omicron, all of which have received from the World Health Organization variant of concern criteria.
We know that Omicron is now in Canada, Israel, parts of Europe, and the U.S. is banning countries in Africa. So what are your thoughts? Does this travel ban go far enough?
So while travel bans are helpful and they help a little, they certainly don't help a lot. One thing we have to always remember and keep in context is that this is an airborne virus. This is free air. It is very difficult to contain free air. And so when we look at these travel bans, certainly a travel ban that didn't go into effect for 3 days, and we certainly had lots of travelers in that period of time. We still have travelers that are residents and citizens coming in from all areas of the world. So this is a very porous restriction, and although it will help somewhat, it certainly doesn't help a lot. Each time we have closed borders, really all over the world, we're already behind the game. The virus has already mutated and is out in the areas, and we are really chasing this virus at that point.
Right, so it's more of us being reactive rather than proactive. Dr. Jane Morgan, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's always nice to see you. Thanks.
Thank you, Veronica.